Hi, I'm Dana, and lately I've been posting more content about abuse and about being abused and about some of the not so nice times and not so nice people that have been in my life. And one of the big things that's come along with that is obviously I'm giving more context, I'm letting you know more about what I've been through and what the people around me have put me through and things like that. So I've been getting more assumptions and comments that are specifically about the people I've been around and not so much the situations or, you know, my feelings or whatever, and it's fine, I'm not mad about it. But one of the things that's repeatedly come up is people being like, wow, what a narcissist. It's so bad that like so many narcissists are running around now, it's the worst. And it's very much being put across in the way of like everyone that I've ever known, you know, the partners that I've had, the friendships that I've had, everyone in my family, all must have narcissistic personality disorder. And I so massively disagree, you know? And some of it is just I have all the context, I lived through it, I'm the person that knows. And some of it, I think, is that it's hard to accept that sometimes horrible people are just horrible people. Sometimes shitty people are just shitty people. Sometimes bad people are just bad people. I think that as autistic people, a lot of the time, you know, like we have the whole strong sense of justice. And as much as I do think that's an incorrect term because the justice can swing either way and people can be like, people can have what I would consider to be very wrong morals and a very wrong view of justice, but they think it's the right thing. You know, I don't agree with the term all that much. But, you know, as people who very strongly often believe in our beliefs, we have a very strong sense of like what we think is right and wrong, whether it's really right or wrong or not. It can be very difficult to try to process the fact that sometimes people are just mean because they don't care, they don't think about it, they're not putting the thought, the effort, whatever else in. Sometimes they know it's mean, but it benefits them, so they don't care. You know, there's so many reasons that go into people being abusive, people being mean, people not being very nice. And I don't think most of the time, at least in my experience, it comes down to them having a personality disorder. It comes down to them just not being great people. And it's also, I think, really quite a nicer view to have of the world, that like people aren't intentionally mean, people aren't intentionally bad, people aren't, you know, bad or mean or cruel or whatever else through ignorance. It's a personality disorder, it's something they can't necessarily help and something that they should be, you know, helped with and helped to learn how to manage and so on. And that's not always the case in my experience. I very genuinely, hand on heart, don't think that any of my family would be diagnosed with a narcissistic personality disorder or any other personality disorder, because I don't think they have them, you know? When it comes to things like their lack of empathy, their like thinking they're better than me and all of that, that was directed at me. That wasn't how they were to general people out in their life, that wasn't how they were to each other, that was purely directed at me. And I think there's a whole host of reasons for that. You know, like my brothers were 8 and 9 years older than me, and my parents were sort of finished and done with parenting by the time I came along. They'd had enough, they were fucking tired. You know, my brothers are 8 and 9 years older than me, so by the time I came along, they'd gotten comfortable, they'd gotten settled, they had their routine, they had their parents, they saw how things were for them. And then they were like, who's this new bitch that's just popped in and now gets what they want, you know? Like, that wasn't how it was, but I see their perspective, I see how things were for the people around me. I understand that, like, they didn't have the capacity to be their best selves at every single moment and so on and so forth, you know? I don't think it excuses their abuse, but I think it does give me an understanding and reasons for it. And, you know, it wasn't nice of them, it wasn't good of them, it's not what good people do. I just think they were shitty people, you know? I just think they weren't very nice people. I really don't think that any of them had a narcissistic personality disorder. And similarly with my abusive partner, he was an autistic man. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the video. I should have, because that's true. He was diagnosed at a very young age. And it's another one where, like, I don't think he's a narcissistic person. I think he has narcissistic traits. I think that most shitty people have traits of narcissism because it takes a certain type of person. But it's similarly to how, like, people on TikTok are doing the whole, like, oh, well, I don't have enough traits to be diagnosed as autistic, but I'm still autistic, right? I'm like, no, if you don't have enough to be diagnosed, then you probably need a different type of diagnosis. Or in this case, I don't think there is a diagnosis to be had, it's just that they're not great people. And I think one of the major, like, key bits of context towards that is that it was always just me, you know? Like, my abuser had friends, my abuser had his family, he had people around him that he was kind to, and that he, you know, like, I had a whole bunch of conversations with him about his parents because he felt so much pressure to be a certain way for them and to, like, respect them in a certain way and everything, you know, like, his narcissistic traits were entirely directed at me. It wasn't that he thought he was better than everyone, he thought he was better than me, you know? And I think it's the kind of thing that does require sort of a different type of healing than people that have experienced it through like narcissistic personality types and like things like that. Because as much as I think there's tie-in, I just don't feel like that's my experience. I don't feel like that's what the people that I experienced abuse from were experiencing, you know? I think, you know, like, healing from any sort of abuse and trauma is not easy, and I'm not trying to like do a comparison thing here, but I think I personally would have an easier time of healing from it if I could just work under the belief of like, well, they're narcissistic people, they think they're better than everyone. That I would personally find that easy, you know, like I'm not saying like if you had that experience it's easier for you to heal than me, but I think I would have found that easier than what I am personally going through, because I could have pinned it on them, you know, like they think they're better than everyone, of course they think they're better than me, but the people that I had treated other people with respect and treated other people as equals. It was just me that's not as good as them. So I have the whole internalized thing of like, it's me, I'm just not good enough, not funny enough, not interesting enough, not worthy enough, whatever else. It's me. It's not that they think they're better than everyone, it's that they can see what's going on that makes them better than me. And obviously that's also not the case. They think they're better than me because they're shitty and horrible and they've seen that I'm like an easy vulnerable little target to go in on. But that's the way the trauma like processes in my brain and works in there. And that's one of the big things that I've been having to unpack and deal with, because it was always just me. It was just that I wasn't good enough. And I think some of it for me as well is that like I do feel like I've been around people that like if they were put forward for it would be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder or something similar, because they just like, when I was with my first partner when I was 16, he was 21, he was 5 years older than me, and he'd started taking me to this like bar that he went to, and his best friend and his best friend's girlfriend just zoned the fuck in on me, and they bullied the fuck out of me. They were absolutely horrible to me. Every single time I went there'd be some backhanded compliment followed by some argument followed by something else. Like, it was always a chaotic event that would end with them just like absolutely zeroing in on me and being like, you need to go home, no one wants you here, no one likes you here. And like, I can't think of anything else that would be except a narcissistic person. Like, he genuinely thought that he was better than everybody else and expected everyone to follow his lead, and for the most part they fucking did. He could be very charming and nice when he wanted to be. You know, like, I do feel like I've experienced situations with narcissistic people and people that probably do have some sort of like diagnosable thing going on, and I don't see the similarities in the people that I experienced it with, you know? I think that's part of what made it really difficult with my family, was that we did have nice times, you know, there would be the occasional nice thing. And a lot of the time, sure, it ended up not being nice. Like, I'd go out and have lovely shopping trips with my mum, and I'd find like a pair of jeans or something and be like, oh, they're lovely, but I just straight up don't have the money. And she'd be like, oh, go on, my treat. And she'd get them for me, it'd be lovely. And then like 3 weeks later, I'd wear the jeans up to go see her, and she'd be like, when are you paying me back for them? And I'd be like, oh, lovely, great. You know, like, a lot of things were spoilt, but I also, like, that's because it's 3 weeks later and she's realised she doesn't have the money, but if she asks me to pay her back for them, then she does have the money, you know? It's not a nice thing to do, it's not a kind thing to do. I don't think it's a narcissistic thing, you know? And I also do think when she was doing the nice thing in the moment, she wanted me to be happy. She wanted it to be a nice moment. It was just the weeks later when she realised she needed this or she needed that, or she could use it to get this thing she wanted, you know? And I'm very much not trying to deny anyone's experience with this, because I do also think it comes from a place of like, a lot of you guys are relating to the things I've been through and the things that I'm talking about. And that's your experience, is that it has been with a narcissistic person or someone that's diagnosed with something or whatever else. And like, that's fine. We can have the same, like, we can have similar experiences for different reasons, you know? It's like with a lot of my autism videos where it's like, well, I've experienced this because I'm autistic, and lots of other people experience it who aren't autistic, or who experience it for a completely different reason, who are autistic and still experience it for a different reason, you know? It's just the things that I've been through, and we can go through similar things and have them be different experiences still, you know? But it is one thing that, like, I don't want to say it necessarily got to me, but I saw like discussions getting a little bit heated in the comments, and I was like, yeah, this is something I want to talk about, because I like I said at the start, and like I'm probably going to name the video, sometimes shitty people are just shitty people. It's just as simple as that. And I think it being that simple does kind of make it harder to process and deal with, but that's how it is. But yeah, that's the video. I don't think there's anything else I want to say on this topic. There might be a little bit more in the Dropbox thing down below. I don't know. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but it's gone now if there was. So I'm wrapping it up. We're ending the video here. I post videos here on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, although I am also trying to post extra content through December. And a bunch of you guys responded very nicely, and I'm really glad about it. I really had a fear no one was going to answer me, and I also have a fear that no one's actually going to show up. But my current thought is that I'm going to do some sort of live stream on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I'm not sure where yet. I do prefer the idea of just doing it on YouTube because like all you guys are already here, but I also would like the idea of being able to have people like come in and video chat with me if you want to, which would have to be over on like TikTok or Instagram, I think. But also maybe no one wants to do that, so I don't know. I'm probably gonna do a poll or a question box or something somewhere, so I can segue. So if you wanna have a say in that and actually let me know your opinion and what you want, you'll have to follow me in other places. You can do that mostly on Instagram is where I'm probably gonna ask stuff in my stories, or just in like the YouTube poll thing. And you can also follow me on TikTok if you want to, since that might be where the live happens. I really don't know. If I enjoy it, it might become a regular thing and it would probably be on TikTok. I don't really know. I don't know. That's the only place I see people go live, but it's also the social media thing that I spend the most time on, so we'll see. You can like and subscribe here as well, if I didn't say that. If you follow me on TikTok and Instagram and that's not enough for you, you can also follow me over on Patreon for a little like finance. There's also a free option, but I'm not really sure what you get out of the free option. I won't lie to you. But if you want to pay for me, pay me. If you want to pay me, Patreon is an option for you. And you can also do a one-time donation over on Ko-fi if you wanted to. But there's no pressure. You don't have to. It's Christmas. Get yourself something nice. Get your best friend something nice. Get your partner, your family, get whoever you like the most, get them something. And if you don't like yourself very much, that's all the more reason to treat yourself, innit? So that's that. Whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And I will see you again in a couple of days.